Welcome to Cricket 360. This is the cricket show that keeps you abreast of what's happening on the African continent when it comes to the beautiful game of bat and ball. A different episode that we have for you today. We are using technology, broadcasting from two different countries. Tolila is the name, and I'm coming to you straight out of Zimbabwe, Bulawayo to be exact, with my partner Dennis Msali in Uganda.
Hi, Eli. Happy to connect with you. I think that's the beauty of technology, that now we can be able to connect with each other virtually. I'm in Kampala. It's a bit of a mixed bag. The weather is boiling a mixed bag, but it was chilly in the morning. Now the sun has come out, and after this, probably I'll go later on and catch some rugby. Saturday is rugby day before the cricket season starts around. But I'm always happy to talk about cricket with you.
Fantastic. It's a brand new year also. So happy new year. Good to see you in 2025.
Yeah, happy new year too. Hopefully big things will happen this year. I think we had a very good last half of the year with a lot of travel, of course, and having to do this and starting the Cricket 360 journey as well. So we hope that, and that's a story we've been trying to tell, that we try and make sure that we consolidate all the gains of 2024 in 2025 and make sure we push everything along very, very well in the new year.
No, definitely. So 2025 being a new year and at the start of it already, well, from my end, Zimbabwe in action already straight out of Christmas, Boxing Day test match into a New Year's Eve test match as well against Afghanistan. And now we see them, they are going to go head to head with Ireland in a once off test. And then it'll be the limited overs game, 3 ODIs and 3 T20s. And just about the same time as well, Uganda, you are setting off, going off to Hong Kong, China for the second round of the Challenge League B. So it's a pretty busy start to the year that we're seeing from both ends.
Yeah, very true. And I think for the second round for Uganda coming around, if you look in the group they are in, I don't think there are many countries that have the opportunity to host or not have the facilities to host games. And since Uganda already had the opportunity, the next one was to come around was Hong Kong. And there've been different sort of talks on who will be hosting the final round, which will be the third round. I don't know if it will come back to Uganda, but Tanzania is in the line to do that. But surprisingly, because normally you always thinking that these ICC events will come around from July towards the end of the year, but this one coming very early in the year. And I think because the weather now is good for the tournament to be hosted in Hong Kong, and should be a good series for the boys. The boys leaving this afternoon on board Qatar, then en route Doha, and then all the way to Hong Kong. But I mean, for them, they haven't had too much time to train. They only regrouped together on the 12th of January. And when we were speaking to the coach today, and I'm sure that conversation we'll share with our subscribers, they had just about two warm up games as well, two internal match games, just to try and get things together. So uh, it's difficult to tell where exactly they are in terms of the holidays, but remember they played that ILT20 Cup in Rwanda up to I think about about the 17th or the 18th of December, and then they had to break off, go for holidays with their families, and then only returned on the 12th. So I think what they'll benefit, what is going to help them in Hong Kong is a tri series they're going to play against Hong Kong and Bahrain. There's a tri series between the three teams, all 50 over games. I think just to try for Hong Kong basically is to test themselves. They have a new captain. By the way, Nizakat Khan stepping down to try and focus on his game. And Yazim Mutas are stepping up, the man who got the most number of wickets in Kampala, stepping up to pick up the captaincy. So I think for Hong Kong, just to try and test themselves. And then Bahrain are in fourth position in this particular group. I think also they need a bit of game time. So that is the opportunity for Uganda, Bahrain, and Hong Kong to really try and play some competitive cricket ahead of the tournament that starts on the 4th of Feb all the way up to the 16th.
But look, really looking at Uganda, they go into the second round. They are on pole position. They played 4 games that they really managed to pull through. One was a no result, so they're on pole position in terms of points. They're sitting comfortably. They really didn't struggle that much. I guess the only serious opposition that they faced was against Italy, who should be second position, if I'm not mistaken. Then going through into this second round, that should sort of ease the nerves that they did well against pretty much almost everyone when they're back at home. Now going into the second round, what's the mood like in the camp before they left?
Yeah. Maybe just to start off, I felt maybe Uganda must have felt that they left a point on the table, especially with the Ugandan leg. I remember the last time they played the Challenge League in 2020. The cycle that started in 2019 and ended in 2022. We won the first leg 5-0, but somehow failed to consolidate over the next two legs and then be able to qualify for the ODI for the next round of the qualifiers. So maybe Uganda wanted to go into the second leg with 10 points and probably give yourselves a bit of distance between you and the rest of the competition. But as is right now, Uganda is only 2 points ahead of Italy and Hong Kong. Uganda is on 9, Italy and Hong Kong are on 7 points. So that is just virtually a game. So you feel that if you lose one game, the rest of the guys catch up with you, and you don't want to lose a game maybe to your close competition. You want to make sure that the loss is against. I mean, the loss is is to any of your close competition and not to the guys everyone else is going to beat in the group. So I, I think Uganda is not very comfortable yet in terms of where they are as leaders of the group, because they've been here before, they've led the group, and then somehow Jersey, who are not even very good in the first round of the previous Challenge League cycle, overtook everyone and went on to qualify for the next level. So, and speaking to the coach and Riyazat, you could really see that they still mean business. They know that they need to go to Hong Kong and win at least 4 out of 5 games. That means that if you go into the final round, you just need about 3 wins for you to finish among the top 2 teams. So they still have their game faces on, and I think that they just especially the game against Italy, somehow you feel that Uganda got out of jail with that. Italy were in cruise control for most of the time, 85 for no loss, and then somehow they never an inspired bowling performance from Henry Senyo no coach Uganda over the line. So you feel some of those performances leave a bit of doubt whether you can be able to match the intensity of oppositions like Italy. But I think that if Uganda can be able to get their game together, bowl as well as they did in Kampala, and especially with the bat, I think they just had a few struggles with the bat and had to be bailed out by the middle order in virtually most of the games. Very slow starts at the top of the order, different different opening batting combinations, very early loss of wickets, getting out of the blocks very, very slowly, and then relying on the firepower of the middle order to get them to bigger totals. So there are still things they need to improve on, but all round, I think Uganda is still, like I've said, they still have their game faces on. They know the work is far from finished. And Uganda has never played in Hong Kong. This is unfamiliar territory for them. You just never know what is going to be giving in Hong Kong. The coach and Rizu himself mentioning that the wickets there take a little bit of more seam. So you feel that maybe our Ugandan spin approach may not work in those conditions. In Kampala, Uganda was bowling as many as, I think, 38 overs or close to 40 overs of spin. And maybe now that's not going to be the case when you go to Hong Kong. So there could be things they need to learn on the job very quickly. That means that guys like Cosmas Cheuta and Juma Miyagi will have to step up and try and help the team with the ball. So it's going to be a hard job, but I can guarantee you that the team looks very determined. And if they get everything together the way they did in Kampala, at least they should be able to get the results they want. When I looked at the fixtures, Uganda is playing Italy and Hong Kong in a space of about 2 days, back to back. Those are the two defining games. They start off with Bahrain and then finish off with Tanzania. But the two big games that they want to really win in that run are close to each other. So I'm not so sure. Sometimes if you lose the first one, it can put you on a bit of pressure to try and win the second one, and then you completely lose the plot. So I'm hoping that somehow they find it within themselves to rise to the occasion on both days when they have to come up against their biggest opponents.
Okay, that'll be interesting. So they're searching new territory, unfamiliar as it is. One of the key things that people would really ask is the makeup of the side versus the one that was at home. Walk us through the 15 that have been taken through to Hong Kong.
Yeah, the 14 players, in my opinion, the core has remained the same. The changes have made what really for players who didn't make a very big contribution during the home leg. So Brian Masaba misses out, but Brian I think played just 2 games in Kampala. Before the end of that challenge league, he came in and opened the batting in one of those games. I think he played Italy and Bahrain in Entebbe. But Brian Masaba missing out, as well as Pascal Morungi. Pascal didn't play any game in Kampala. And in comes Cyrus Kakuru, the other wicket keeper. I think he'll be the backup keeper to Freda Chelam and Joseph Baguma. Joseph Baguma really one for the future. I'm not so sure he will get a chance to play any game because the team already has 3 frontline spinners, Frank Nsubuga, Henry Senyon, and Alpesh, and those are all starters. So unless the team chooses to leave out any of the 3 from the playing 11, it will be very difficult for us to see Joseph Baguma playing. But clearly, Joseph, both are very young players. They were part of the under-19 team at the 2022 World Cup in West Indies, and you feel their selections made for it, trying to expose them and give them an opportunity at that big stage. If they are ever needed, they are very, very capable replacements as well. Make note of that. It's not like they've been chosen to just to be water boys. If Cyrus Kakuru has done glove work for Uganda before, he's a very, very competent keeper. Joseph Baguma has had the opportunities. He was part of the team at the ILT20 in Kigali, where you were, but he just has never been in an ICC event for Uganda before. But you feel ultimately he's going to be the one to take over whenever Frank Nsubuga chooses to call time on his career. So both of them very, very capable. But in my opinion, there are picks who have been chosen to be sort of backups in case anything happens. The coach mentioned it that it's going to be a very long 219 50 over games, can be brutal on the game. So if anything happens, they just wanted to make sure they have people who can be able to replace anyone who's not fit enough. So and Hong Kong is a distance away from Uganda. So he said they just never wanted to make that a rushed phone call back to Kampala. Hey, send Eli over because Dennis is out. So they just made sure they carried replacements capable enough of making sure they feed in for anyone who's unable to continue playing. So, but like I mentioned, the core of the team really remains the same. Kenneth Waisa is back and fit. Is back and well. He missed the last part of the challenge league in Kampala because of sickness. I think the challenge is going to be on who they select for the playing 11 for now. Because if you leave out Joseph Baguma and Cyrus Kakuru, that leaves 2 of other players who most of them made a very good contribution during the Challenge League B tournament. It might come down to I think the approach of how Uganda wants to play. If they want to go with the spinners, they will probably leave out one of the all-rounders, Cosmas Cheuta or Kenneth Waiswa. And if they want to go with the both pace bowlers, that is Juma Miyagi and Cosmas Cheuta, that means they'll have to leave out one of the spinners or an all-rounder. So I think it's just going to come down to what sort of approach they want to have in particular games. And normally for Uganda, if they win the playing 11 that wins the first game hardly changes. So that's sort of a superstition. So they normally say that why change a winning team? So since our first game is Bahrain, the coach will be looking at probably playing his best team for that particular game. And if they're able to get the job done, he might continue with those throughout the whole tournament, or maybe probably make a couple of changes at the back end when we play Tanzania. But ultimately, it's only the playing 11 that is going to give the coach some sleepless nights. From the core players who are in Kampala, and all of them made some decent contributions for the team.
Not to be a devil's advocate, you did speak about that. The coach did mention that probably the wickets in Hong Kong might not suit the spin net attack that Uganda poses. I only see 2 quicks, that is in Juma and Cosmos. Is there anybody else besides those 2 who can come in as a third pace bowler just to amp up things? Because I can understand you using only those 2 in 20 overs, but in 50 overs, after that 20, those 10 overs that probably they'll be given aside, who else can come through for the other ones?
Yeah, not to forget that Riyazat Alisha, by the way, never took the ball in Kampala, but he can send down a couple of balls if he chooses to bet his back. So I think the other backup bowlers for those two will be Riyazat Alisha and Kenneth Waiswa. Both of them are very, very good all-rounders. Over time, maybe they've evolved into batting all-rounders, but they are very, very good with they can move the ball a bit. And I think they are going to be the backups to those two, especially to reduce on the sort of load for the both of them. So uh, you make a valid point. A couple of people thought for this particular tour, especially because the ball seems a bit, maybe Bilal Hassan will come back into the mix, but Bilal has only been chosen as a reserve to the team, so he didn't find a place in the team. So most definitely, I think they've asked, and we saw some of it in the trainings. Riyazat Alisha and Kenneth Wise are bowling a couple of overs. I think the two will be asked to try and fill in and try and support Juma Miyaga and Cosmas Cheuta. If their approach is to try and go, if his approach is to take advantage of the seaming wickets. So, because I don't want to call the national cranny a seaming bowler, because we know how clever he is with the ball, different variation and all these things, and he's already the team anyway. But I think Kenneth Wise and Riyazat Alisha will be the other options to try and manage the workload there for Juma Miyagi and Cosmas Cheuta.
Now, fantastic. So that's what's lined up. Action starts when?
The tri series start on the 28th and they will run all the way up to the 3rd of February. And then the tournament proper starts on February the 4th and will go all the way to the 16th. So there will be some very early mornings for us in Uganda, because the game starts as early as 5 a.m. I think we shall have to check into office very early to try and make sure by the time the game ends anyway, it will be about mid-morning. But we'll try and check in very early to try and support the boys in Hong Kong.
Fantastic. So just besides that, when we're looking from an African perspective, I know that the next team that we have in that is Tanzania. In the first round in Uganda, they went through their 5 matches without a win. What would be their prospects? Because we did say when we're in Entebbe that it's still early days. This is the first round. The team can come back and probably, cause a major upset. We would love to see as much of Africa performing well. What do you make of Tanzania going into this second round? What would be key for them to sort of have a more positive performances, because they had 5 losses on the trot and then 1 tie. 4 losses on the trot and the tie.
Yeah, and Tanzania made some changes as well. They have a new coach in charge, and the captain who was in Kampala, a big part of missing from the team that has traveled to Hong Kong. Kasim Nasoro Chete, the senior statesman, given the responsibility to lead the side. And you said it very well in Kampala. They really showed that 50 over cricket is still something they're trying to adapt to. Unfortunately for them, they need to adapt quickly. It's just about a month since the Challenge League B that was in Kampala. So there's not so much. You have to learn on the job very, very quickly. They showed glimpses of their ability when they were in Kampala. I think it was just sustaining those good moments that eluded them. They had so many dot balls when they were batting. I think in one of the games they got 180, but they had as many dot balls in scoring 180 runs. So I hope that that made some lessons for them. And I think a big Patwa is going to be a big miss for them. He's one of the guys who got a 50 when they played in Uganda. And he has the ability to turn again, especially at the top of the order. Very, very intelligent as a captain as well. But Kasim Nasoro Chete has done this job before for them. And one of the players who didn't do so well with the bat in Kampala, but also very good. I just hope that Tanzania can be able to go in there and know that Hong Kong has some small grounds. If they can go and back themselves, they can be able to hurt some teams. I just felt that in Kampala, that was the first time. And I hope that is already forgotten by them. Now, this is a new round for them. They need to have it at the back of their minds that 2 teams would still go out of this Challenge League and go down into another qualification path to try and come back in. So you don't want to be one of those 2 teams. Bahrain did themselves. Bahrain made sure they do some good work by winning, by making sure they at least they pick up 2 wins and finishing. They are in fourth position right now. So if Bahrain is thinking like you, Bahrain is probably just thinking that we need to get 2 more wins for us. Maybe we cannot catch up with the teams at the top, but we need to
Yep.
put some distance between ourselves and the other 2 teams. So it's early days, yes, but it's important that Tanzania puts it that at the back of the mind. There's still something to play for. They may not be chasing finishing among the top 2 teams, but they should be looking at least finishing among the top 4 teams in this particular group. So that they don't have to go back into the qualifiers and all. Normally, when you go down, coming back is not an easy feat. So you need to make sure that you stay within the Challenge League, and then you can keep learning and building on from there.
Fantastic. All right. We're out of time. We'll be catching up soon, but just to put you in the hot seat as I always do, how do you think this will fare out as a tournament? What do you think will come out of the tops?
Yeah, I'm going to speak. I'm going to be patriotic. I still think Uganda will do well. I give them 4 out of 5. I don't want to give them a perfect score, but I'll give them a 4 out of 5. I think they can be able to win 4 games from that and be able to consolidate their position at the top. And I'm backing Tanzania to do well. I think maybe they could have gotten a good result against Singapore if it wasn't for the rain. So I'm backing Tanzania to at least get off the mark and find 1 or 2 wins in that competition. But I feel that it's not going to be an easy feat in Hong Kong, and it should be an interesting tournament all around. Hong Kong in their own backyard, one of the favorites in this particular Group B. Italy with a couple of players who've been at the Big Bash in Australia. So one, I'm sure the quality is going to be good, but I think we are going to have some very, very good cricket as well.
Fantastic. Dennis, thank you so much for joining us on this edition of Cricket 360, taking a look at the Challenge League B Round 2 that is coming up in Hong Kong, China. To our fans, we'll be giving you more insights as the tournament goes on, reviewing how the teams have played out, and also just to keep abreast of what's happening with the rest of cricket on the African continent. Some news coming through. Zimbabwe, they will be taking on Ireland. There's a tour coming up, starts on the 6th of February. There's a once-off test. Then they move to Harare, where they have 3 T20s and 3 ODIs. So that's the next thing.
You should be giving me the mic and ask you about Zimbabwe.
Not a problem. In the next episode, that's what we'll be doing. He will be the one asking the questions. But for this one, we're just taking a look at the Challenge League B that's coming up and the second round. But before we do go, kudos to the young female Yellow Greens at the Under-19 World Cup. They're doing so well.
Yeah, most definitely. I think they've shown, and for me, and I think I wrote a piece for the Emerging Cricket website, and I was sort of trying to put it out there that you'll be surprised by this Nigerian team. They're not there by mistake. They put in the hard yards, and they are good enough to compete with the best teams in the world. Unfortunately, their game against England today was washed out, and even the game against Samoa was washed out. But if they had been able to show what they can do, and for me, my emphasis was that that team has. If you're going to name the best 11 players, the best 11 female players on this continent, you can pick out at least 4 names from that team that will make that best 11. Lucky Paiti, Lilian Ude, Peculiar Agobia, Peace Hussein, very, 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 very good players. And I hope that Nigeria cricket understands that this is not the only place they can take them. If they continue with the same girls, even with the senior women's team, they will push that envelope, especially against teams like Namibia, Zimbabwe, Uganda, who've been bossing women's cricket for the last couple of years. Normally, you sort of have that generation that will take you to the next level. And I feel that the young girls for Nigeria should be able to do that. So, I mean, they've done so well. They've just been unfortunate with the weather. But if they had an opportunity to show what they can do, we saw a couple of girls. I watched their game against South Africa. And of course, there was the girls who were with at the African Games in Ghana, Karabo Meso and Naidu, who are bowling for South Africa. And I'm like, okay, maybe that's a bit of a level up against them, but take nothing away from them. I think if they hadn't panicked trying to chase down 66 in, let's say, 10 balls, they should have been able to put some pressure on South Africa. So the the female yellow greens, they've done the whole of Africa, not just themselves, very proud, and we continue to support them either way. So I hope there's something the World Cup that first of all, the World Cup puts a mark on a particular generation, and you hope that if they continue supporting them, good coaches, facilities, helping them with school like they do already. I mean, the sky is not. I mean, it's not the limit; it's just a floor, and you hope that these girls can continue. I mean, it's someone like Lucky Paiti, very very amazing player. It's very good to see her playing. She's such an amazing player, very very confident even at her age, and you hope that maybe even I've seen there's a girl who played in the women's big bash. She was only 15. I hope teams have been noticing them. They've been making those connections, playing against the big teams. You share a hotel with them, speak to some of those team managers who can be able to help you elevate your game and take you to the next level. So hopefully they've been doing this conversation in those corridors and in those hotel corridors. And I really believe that Nigeria women's cricket will go to another level with this generation of players.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Dennis, for those insights. We do congratulate the Nigerian Cricket Federation with the work that they're doing with the young ladies. And we hope that their boys can emulate the girls.
Team World Cup in 20. Still, they upset everyone in 20. I think it was 2019. Then they went to the 2020 World Cup that was in South Africa. So Nigeria now has qualified both of their junior teams to either World Cups. It's the next level for them.
It's the next level that I was talking about in September when they qualify for the big boys. If they can now step up, because the ladies have reached that as well. So
I see what you did there, but we know it's next level cricket in September.
Thank you so much, Dennis.
All right, Eli. Thank you very much. Always a pleasure catching up.
All right, awesome. So do catch us on the next 360. Do enjoy for updates that are coming through. There's some bites that are coming through courtesy of Dennis, who was out and about with the Ugandan team before they left for Hong Kong, China, and was talking to a few people. You also see that on the channel. But for this episode, thank you so much and catch us on the next one.